There we go. Are we live?
We're live. We do it
Or not?
live.
I don't like live.
This is live right now. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about.
Yes. What are we talking about?
Because this movie is just a hidden gem.
Hidden.
uh,
from who?
this poor movie needs some work. I can't do this. Oof. I don't even know where to
I
start.
liked it more on my second watch through.
I
Not
liked it a
gonna
lot
lie.
less.
Yeah, that's really funny.
Oof. It's not before anyone listening thinks, oh my god, it's just terrible. See, it's fucking trash. It's like, well, hold on there, hold your horses.
I like trash. It's
Um,
delicious.
This movie suffers from what I think a couple movies we've talked about, maybe whether it's on our recordings or not, but I know we've mentioned it before that this shit. There's movies that just have a lot of tiny things wrong with them, and it makes the entire thing feel like shit. But when you think back, you can't really point anything out. Well, you can't point out anything that was like what was so egregious that I hated this movie about. And I think that's like the biggest thing about this one that I took away from it is that there's just so many small things wrong that it's hard to give them a pass. Because I'm the first guy to give things a pass. But by the end of this movie, fuck that. I was like, yep, that's wrong. That's wrong. This feels like shit. This wasn't done right. Look, wow, this little continuity thing, totally gonna harp on that. And I was like, geez, what the fuck is wrong with you? I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm just jaded. Like, but there's something wrong with me in this movie. And I think it's because there's so many tiny things that build up together that would be, negligible by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But what do we do? Start from the beginning? That's usually my.
Yeah, we're on a sand planet. There's droids, right? No, wait,
The
that's
sand
episode 4.
planet for
That's episode 4. I'm thinking of.
same thing. Random sand planet because this is throughout the entirety of the movie. Let's just do stuff that they remember. You remember?
You remember? Are
Yeah,
you
no, that
doing the
was
South
just
Park bit? Remember
you.
berries?
Yeah, that's what I'm making fun of. Is that
Yeah.
it's literally you remember the movie sometimes, and that's a problem. But it starts off, and like I said, and those things aren't egregious on their own. I think a lot of the things too that you could like point out to say, look, that's like number 4. Get it? Those things wouldn't be a problem if there wasn't either so many of them or so many other problems that already had you on the look or me on the lookout.
Yeah.
But yeah, where were they? Did that planet ever get named?
Jakku.
No, not Jakku. The first one, like the first clusterfuck of a 10 minutes.
Oh,
The
where
shittiest
they're
opening.
fighting? Oh, where they're fighting?
Yeah. Who was the old man? What was the planet? What the fuck was going on? Why did it have
Oh,
meaning?
the old man was the actor from Game of Thrones.
Oh, my bad. I didn't realize it was a crossover.
uh, yes. He is a friend of Kylo Ren apparently and his
Clearly.
family.
He's a friend of
Because
Luke,
he
too.
mentioned he said
Right.
that your family wouldn't approve of this or something to that
Yep.
effect.
That's part of the shit that I have with this whole 10-minute opener. It was way too fucking cluttered. Not only was there like 4 plot lines all getting opened up at once in the same scene, but it was just complete shit the whole time. It wasn't like, hey, these things are happening. You should enjoy it and watch as the world unfolds and pick on things, like pick up things as
I
you
would
watch.
say I kind of this is like an overall kind of movie thing. I guess we already started at the beginning of the movie, but I meant to say this earlier.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize how much Poe was in this movie because the first time I was like, wait, he's a main character. Like whenever we got to the second movie
Right.
in the sequel trilogy, because I thought, no, yeah, he showed up, he died. Oh, look, he's not dead, but he does actually show up a lot more. We see because he's like the main fighter pilot for the whole like attack or whatever.
Which,
So,
dude, speaking of, since we're jumping, holy.
uh,
As much as I was disinterested and had a problem with the movie, when that fucker showed up and did the maneuver and like the whole cinematic bit where he takes out like 5 TIE fighters,
yeah.
oh my god.
They did have a lot of cool maneuvers. That's one of the things that they probably fucking just excel at in the sequel trilogy is they keep the look and feel of the original trilogy, but they have a lot of wow factor like the sequel trilogy.
Mhm.
It's just the substance isn't there
Right,
for the characters. At least that's what it seems like to me on this rewatch.
right. I think
I
all
will
the
say this
characters
this one kind of blew it a little bit more than the later ones did. The later ones or like did a better job opening up those characters, like or like characterizing the characters rather. Finn, Ray, not so much Poe. We ain't kind of Poe. We get a little. He's kind of cocky. He's a great pilot. I can fly any ship.
Right.
Yeah,
He was my favorite,
and then
actually, out of all of them.
mine is Kylo, but
What the fuck? How? We gotta get into that. Oh,
actually,
no.
I think it's Finn. To be honest, my hatred over like how they did my boy Finn in the first two movies or the second movie has like made me like him more as like just because of his potential from this movie.
The potential is all he had, but he never fulfilled.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. That like the directions he could have went, and his characterization was pretty decent in this movie.
I thought it was okay, but it was hit or miss because sometimes they completely like flip flopped him into a different.
Yeah,
direction.
sometimes he was just a joking character, and I'm like, why?
See, I like that. That's weird. My favorite bits were like when he says, "Yeah, I'm with the resistance." Yeah, I'm with the resistance.
I'm very conflicted on that because I like those because it's funny, but for his character, I didn't like it because he's supposed to be this dude who like is I don't know if that guy that died was important to him or not, but he like I took him as like, oh, he didn't like killing because he ended up not shooting, right? So I was like, oh, he's a pacifist. Oh wait, now he's on the good side, so now he can kill. It's fine. Wait, what? So I don't know. His character seemed
a scaredy bitch.
Yeah, he kind of is. I think that's what they ended up going with because the second movie is just him trying to run away with Rey, and they're trying to get him on board with the Resistance. And yeah, it's pretty clear he's not on board with the Resistance even by the end of this movie. He still went to Starkiller Base just to save Rey. So whatever. But yeah, I was just jumping. I thought this movie kind of not portrayed their characters very well, but like opened them up and be like it made us intrigued in their character for the next two movies. Only to not do anything the next two movies.
I got the exact opposite effect. I thought they just dropped the ball completely with everyone except Poe. Not as much Rey. I just take that back. But mainly Finn. Thought his character was done kind of bad, and then Rey just never made as much sense. Kylo was a fucking whiny bitch, and I can't stand his character.
I would say I think I like Rey the most in this movie. I could be wrong, but
I think she was fine. A lot of it, wasn't even her personality or nothing, which I think that was pretty consistent. Except for the moment when she's like, I gotta go back to Jakku. Oh, wait, we need to stay and fight. You can't leave, Finn. We have to fight. Minutes later, I'm leaving. I don't want any part of this shit. And then she runs into the woods. Where are you going? Where are you running?
She was scared of her Jedi destiny or whatever the
fuck.
Which
is really fucking weird.
It's so weird. Yeah, I was, I guess they just need to have someone for, like, because if they... Making Finn not care about the Resistance, he only cares about Rey. Rey needs to be somewhere where he needs to go save her, meaning that she has to fucking run away or get captured. Which she got captured anyway, so she could have just been on board and then gotten captured. So I don't know why they did that.
No, it was weird. I think the stupid lightsaber bit too is another problem overarching in this movie. Of the hey, you remember? Like they just need set pieces. It's like Han, look, he's here. Millennium Falcon, it's here. Look, the lightsaber, it's here. They just keep putting all this shit in the movie. Like, for what?
I was fine with the Millennium Falcon.
Half, go ahead.
Even the lightsaber, I'm fine with. But they made it way too big of a deal with the lightsaber, and then it caused the Force visions. Sure.
And it's funny because no matter which way the writing was, because that's like a disclaimer, I guess, to anybody listening. Apparently, I don't know, by the end of it, there was like two different writers. It got scrapped and redone, and there was a whole bunch of crazy bullshit.
Well, the first movie only had one writer. It just had J.J. Abrams helming it. And then the second movie had Rian Johnson. They didn't have a plan for the entire franchise.
Gotcha. Well, whoever the fuck did it, it doesn't make sense either way they wrote it. Because both ways seem like shit. Because if her parents...
Well, J.J. Abrams is really good at doing mystery series, or mystery stuff. So, like, his whole approach is, which I like, as long as you deliver on all the mysteries, but none of the mysteries ever get resolved in a good way. Rian Johnson just goes, yes, mysteries. Yeah, she didn't have any parents. Our parents aren't nothing. Are nothing. Snoke is nobody. Knights of who? What? Wait, Knights of Ren. Oh, those were characters. I thought those were scrapped. Yeah, they exist. We'll put them in the next movie.
Yeah. No,
so
like,
like it definitely wasn't planned right, and like they were just like, "Hey, Ryan Johnson, you're doing the second movie," and he was like, "Yeah, I don't want to follow up any of this stuff that he did, so I'm just gonna do this random mission where they're going to a casino.
Yeah.
Ray trains with Luke, Poe struggles with becoming a leader. There you go, done. But what about all the mysteries we set up? We'll do it in the third movie. Do it in the third movie. Do it in the third movie. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's pretty fucking terrible because no matter which
so
way you
that's what
swing
we
that,
yeah.
her vision, it was Obi-Wan. If you listen, like I said, the subtitles on, it's Obi-Wan calling to her by name, and then in the
Yeah.
next thing when she's like a little girl, he says, what was it? Her training needs to begin, or her training starts now, or something. Makes no fucking sense given either way you wrote it. Because, she's a
Yeah.
Palpatine. She would have had nothing to do with Obi-Wan. Like, they don't have a connection. The closest thing she could have had was Luke, and I don't think she was training under him, or else they would have known each other.
This isn't confirmed, but around the time that Last Jedi came out was around like what the height of Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
When Game of Thrones was like a big sensation, and the only thing people fucking talked about in movies was like, "Oh, that's subversion! That's subversion!" So there was a lot of writers subverting just for the sake of subversion, and there was a lot of fandoms were catching on to like, "Oh, this leads here." So they didn't understand that a mystery can be should be able to be solved by the audience.
Right.
You don't have to give them enough hints to solve it, but if you do, you don't just say fuck it. The fan base found out this movie's not even done for another 2 years. We can't have them already know the ending.
Right.
So let's just subvert that. So it's not confirmed, but it's what it seemed like. Like they had a plan probably with her to be Obi-Wan's, or possibly even Leia's and Han's. Maybe they were the ones who left her on Jakku. Who knows? But
right. Weird. It's so hard to understand where she was supposed to fit. Like,
yeah, and then she still could have been the Skywalker at the end of the third movie, right? She could still be the Rise of Skywalker if she was.
I mean, it even could have been Luke and Leia's on some crazy, hey. I don't think like maybe I would have been cool with that.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't let Disney. I don't think Disney would have done that.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I would have been cool with it, but I don't think they're going to take the liberties to do that.
Or she could have been Luke's.
Yeah, that's true. Luke's like, we don't know what he did in his older life.
Exactly.
And maybe he was like when he gave up his whole thing, when he ran away, he ran away from her too.
Yeah.
I guess there's some ways you could have pieced it together, but definitely it just, no matter which way you swing it, that felt really weird. And
I always found it. It's kind of random, but I always found it weird that that was her name. Leia named Ben Solo after Obi-Wan. She didn't call him Obi-Wan. She knew Obi-Wan as Obi-Wan. Luke called him Ben. Luke knew him as Ben.
That's true. Well, I don't know, because he was dead before they met, right? She only met him at the end of the when they were on the Death Star, right? After the trash compactor.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Well, she had the thing. Obi-Wan, you're my only hope.
Right. Because she knew him as like at least.
I don't know if she said she knew him. They retconned it definitely in the Obi-Wan show that they meet, but they but she in the thing and in the I'm trying to remember in the holographic she says something about you served my father well during the Clone Wars.
Right.
Help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope.
Right, so she did know him as that only. Yeah, that makes sense. And she wouldn't have just started calling him Ben after Luke said it a couple times.
Yeah.
Maybe she would. I don't know, because how much time her and Luke spent a lot of time together, I would imagine, after number 6.
Yeah, and he knew him as Ben, so he would have referred to him as Ben constantly.
Right. So maybe that was maybe it was like she was like, I'm gonna name him, after Obi-Wan. He was like, oh, you can name him Ben. Maybe there was some discussion there. In
the comics, Luke names his son Ben, so that's also why I'm like very weirded by that. So I'm just like, what? Fine.
Right. But yeah, no, I think overall all the characters got just, I don't know, in fucking like Kylo, for example, because we've kind of touched on some, but I don't not like his arc, but I think its delivery was complete shit. And I think we would have done better to get him pre-Dark Side, moving into Dark Side. So his conflicting shit made a lot more sense, and then give more screen time to a big bad that we can identify as a bad guy. Because throughout all of this movie, they just undercut the fuck out of him as the bad guy. and it left no real bad guy. And you don't have to have a bad guy, I guess, necessarily. But it's kind of, huh?
Snoke's still the bad guy.
Sucks.
He's in the back. And he's in the background. Well, it's because we know his ultimate fate. But
I just don't think he's interesting though. Like even when I first saw him, because he looked.
Yeah, he's literally just Emperor ripoff, right?
Right. He looks weird. He's like, oh, look, I'm a big.
Yeah, I would say. It might have been what happened too with like the fan base going crazy over Snoke is that like because he's such an Emperor ripoff, we're like he has to be something, right? But since he wasn't anything at all by the end of the thing. It just doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. It's just a guy who corrupted Ben. But
right,
yeah,
and we also were just told that. That's again, this what this movie does. Back to like even the first 10-minute scene or 5-minute whatever. They just throw shit at you and expect you to care, and I don't.
I feel like they were trying to speed run it, right?
Right.
They never like had moments for like bonding. Like Poe and what's his face didn't really bond. They had like the spaceship, and then it crashed, and then he disappeared.
Never saw him again until the end of the film. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right. And I think Rushed was a big, but it's because if you look at the first half of the movie, like I think almost the first hour, it's like 2 hours long roughly. The first hour was nothing but a bunch of bullshit. They didn't accomplish anything for the first hour of this movie. It was, hey, look, new Death Star. Hey, look, new characters. Hey, look, they're here. Hey, look.
I would say that's the stuff I was talking about that I kind of liked is that they were like, instead of telling you, hey, Rey does this, hey, Rey does that. Oh, we see her wear the helmet, whatever. So like, oh, this is our new protagonist. This is our new Luke. She's wearing Luke's fucking helmet. Because they did the same thing. They did they did the same thing in the prequels with what's his name? Anakin was wearing that same helmet. Well, not the same helmet, but a similar looking helmet. Mm-hmm. She had like a stuffed doll of like a resistant soldier. Every time what's his face mentioned the resistance, she like seemed like she was super like happy or excited. So that means that she idolizes the resistance. Right. We had to see her. You know, she was a scavenger. She knew about parts. She knew what parts were expensive. Not that she knew how they worked, but
right.
Yeah.
Well, by the end of the movie, she knew everything and was everything. So
yeah, they tried to explain that with the Force because the Force makes you a great pilot, and I'm like, it's not the same. Nope. Yes, Anakin's a great pilot because of the Force, but he also. The Force just gives him reflexes. Doesn't mean he immediately is the best pilot ever. He just he constantly because he even in the prequels he mentions that he races all the time. Meaning
and he'd never won.
He's never won.
He had been racing. He had been training. He had been working as a mechanic. He had been refining these skills over many years.
Yeah, and all she did was just find scraps and then sell them. She didn't know how they worked. She just sold them. I mean, I guess you can. I think she mention that she built her thing.
I don't think she.
I'd say it kind of looked like it was built from scraps, but maybe not.
I don't think they mentioned anything explicitly. It's not impossible.
Her little scooter, but it definitely wasn't like expanded on or anything like that.
She just hops on the Falcon though. The gunner seat's down there. Here's how this works. Watch this crazy.
She did talk about the Falcon, like repairs and things that the other guy did on the Falcon. So maybe she worked for him, but they didn't explicitly say that or mention anything to that.
Right,
so I don't know.
Yeah, you could definitely, I guess, argue that behind the scenes she knew about the ship, but I don't know why he would let her on the ship at all. If all she
I would say, in the prequel trilogy for Anakin, they explicitly showed him working on things, him doing things for his employer rather than, or not employer, his owner.
Yeah, same thing. We call them employers. It sounds better. Yeah, no, it's just unfortunate.
More explicit rather than implicit. In the prequels,
that's kind of what sucks. Like, I just feel like I'm getting like forced everything. Like the beginning, it's like too much for me, I guess. Also, because there's too many.
Probably too vague. I think that was the problem. A lot of their characterization might have been too vague.
Maybe I felt like it was just almost too on the nose sometimes, and we're just supposed to accept it. Like,
sometimes it
first,
was,
like, he puts the blood on his mask in the beginning.
Oh yeah, that was definitely a little too.
And it was like,
too.
Hey, look, you're supposed to care because now he's a struggling soldier and he's a little bit scared and jaded, and we don't know what's going on with him. And that's supposed to be the whole. That's my whole thing. My whole introduction is he put some blood on his mask and he didn't shoot that guy. I need more than that. I need a little bit. And then same thing with like Kylo. He shows up. I'm the new bad guy. Ooh, spooky new bad guy. Tell me more. Show me more. Something. And you get a random old guy who we don't know anything about. Oh, I know your father wouldn't have liked this. You used to be on the good side. I was like, oh god, that's just come on, dude. You couldn't like.
It's your family, Trey.
Fuck
it's
that.
All
it was just a
family.
shitty speech from a random old guy who had no bearing in the story whatsoever, who got cut down immediately.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Then they introduce, Poe's whole thing. It's like, now he's here, but he's going to sacrifice himself and send the droid
His.
away. So there's just all this stuff that I'm just being shoved in my face. Like, here's all the characters, here's all the motivations, here's how they act, and go. And I was like, no, I'm not going to go. Fuck this. Like, I need more. But Poe did great, though. I think he's the only one throughout. He didn't get as much screen time as the others, but he's the only one I felt like was always consistent, always interesting, always like, yeah, that's the guy. Whereas I think a lot of the others bounced back and forth, which Kylo, again, it makes sense, but they need to, I think, execute it better, because like when he throws his tantrums and shit, it just sucks. Like, it's annoying, because I don't know the character. I don't know his trauma. I don't know what he's been through. I don't know why he would throw a tantrum. I just see him acting like a bitch.
While I was watching his tantrums, probably maybe it was what they were going for. I'm not sure. I thought this maybe what they were trying to go for is whenever Vader would just kill a guy that brought him bad news.
See, I like that, and I actually compared that.
But the thing is, Vader would just kill the guy and then move on, whereas he would throw a tantrum and like destroy useful equipment.
Right, and he didn't kill the people. That's like when the dude shows up. And I have another problem with this scene too. When they mention the girl and he freaks out, he brings them bad news. Which also, by the way, this whole scene is fucked. This is why this movie's gonna be a long one, folks. Stay tuned, because holy shit. Not only were like they were monitoring the planet, they knew where they were, and they just fly off the planet in the Falcon. Just fly away. And I'm like, did they not have a couple destroyers around there? Did they not have scanners? I'm like, how the fuck did they just fly away and no one saw them coming? Because it wasn't like they would have went around the planet and then flew off the other side. They flew up.
Because the plot needed them to.
They flew straight up. The destroyer would have been waiting on them. It's not like there's a bunch of traffic going in and out. Like, somebody would have fucking seen them. And I was like, you know what? Let me give it a pass. And then minutes later, fucking Han shows up. You think the Empire can't track that? My sensors can track that. I'm like, I was like, okay. So, like, that shit killed me. But yeah, he brings them the bad news. They're gone. And then he's like, I'm so angry. Destroys the whole thing. Anything else? And I'm like, was that intimidating? Were you trying to intimidate him by destroying that? Because the way he said, like, anything else or any bad news. He was like, well, there was a girl. A girl? And he freaked out as if that was, like, he'd never seen a girl before or never heard of the species. I don't know what it was, but the way he gave that line was like, it was important that there was a girl there. And it was like, that didn't make any fucking sense. And it was like, there was no establishment of Rey being important. There was nothing. They didn't have a connection. There was nothing like you would have got in the second or third movie where that line would have made more sense. Why would he have acted like that over some random girl? And then he never killed that guy anyway. So yeah, his tantrum's like, fuck that guy, Jack. Like,
the girl line is one of the reasons why I think they're trying to set her up as maybe Luke's daughter, because the way everybody looked at it too, or talked to her, Leia and Han, they just seemed like they knew her for some fucking reason. I was just like so confused.
Yeah, their whole bit where she finished his sentences, I thought was terrible as well.
Yeah,
I was like, why is she a master mechanic? And why is she finishing his sentences? This just seems awkward, like watching it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe you're right, though. Maybe if that's what they were going for, this sort of, why are they all, like, because in the end of the movie, that whole weird-ass scene, what the fuck was that with Leia? These two just met, like, a day ago. She didn't know anything about her. She comes back and just stares. And they embrace. Like, what were they saying? What was that for? I don't understand that scene. Like, everyone else left to go join, like, the little huddle on the left and, share war stories or, reminisce. And it was just Leia standing there, open arms, like, come to me, my child. Made no fucking sense. Like, I don't know what they were going for, but maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe Leia had some connection, but she knew she had to be there for her, and they were going to explain it later, and then be like, wow, I knew there was a connection the whole time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Same reason when they sent her to go find Luke. No one else. You didn't send anybody else. You just they sent Chewie. But like what? And R2. But then R2.
She needed a co-pilot.
So it's like you didn't send Leia. You didn't send anyone else who would have been important to meet Luke. Like no one else.
No.
It just was weird. Yes, and like
she's gotta get her Jedi training. Come on.
Yeah, but they don't even know she's a Jedi or nothing. The only person who hinted at that was Maz, I think.
Yeah.
Like with the whole vision, no one else saw that. No one else knew that. Maybe Finn saw her fight with the saber, but he had just got done fighting with the saber too.
Yeah, she never explained the Force, right? To
No,
that she used the Force. She
no
just
one knew
said,
about
"I'll
it.
tell you later." Yeah, because what's his name? Because he said, "How'd you escape?" She said, "I'll tell you later."
Right.
Uh,
So no one even knew. So it's just like this random shit. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, fucking movie, dude. That's what feels bad, dude. There's so much little shit that just adds up and adds up and adds up. And like after a while it's just like, fuck, this movie sucks. But it doesn't. It's not so egregious. There's not one thing you can point out. But yeah, no, now I'm lost. And this is the hard part too, with stuff when there's so much to like bounce off of and go with. It's like, how the fuck do I remember? Oh, another big problem was fucking Phasma. Phasma had so much potential, and they just threw that character in the trash, and I'm not happy about it. She was fucking awesome, and it was should have been her who fought Finn in that cool battle that could have been way cooler, and it's just we never got that, and I thought that was
yeah.
kind of shitty. And who was that guy? That's another problem I have because he never showed that he had friends. He never was on like the same platoon as them. I don't think because if you look at how big the Empire is, I don't think there's a chances of him seeing another trooper that he would have known, who would have had an attachment with him, who would have been like pissed that he betrayed them. It
Hmm.
just all seems so coincidental. And number two, this is again the nitpicky shit I would normally forgive. Number one, why did that trooper have a shield? We've never seen a trooper with a shield. But number two, why did he throw that shield on the ground and throw his blaster on the ground when he could have shot this fucker in the back? Pulls out this weird baton thing we've never seen before, spins it around for dramatic effect, and says, "Let's fucking go." Which was the scene. It was awesome.
As it was a trailer shot.
Like the scene itself was awesome. You don't get me wrong, but like in continuity, that was the worst fucking scene ever. Like it made no sense given anything we know about the lore, the troopers, their equipment. None of it. But it would have made a lot more sense if it had been Phasma, because she is a
Yeah,
general or whatever. So generals, you would imagine, would have special equipment, and she
yeah.
had full reason to want to kill this motherfucker because he made her look bad in front of. Well, I was a Vader. He made her look bad in front of Kylo. It was like, oh,
Hmm.
he was on my platoon. I apologize, you know. So she already had vendetta against this fucker, and their fight would have made a lot more sense, you know. And then also, where the fuck? What? He said he was on sanitation when he worked on the new Death Star,
Yeah.
but he was with Kylo on the raid to that planet, which I assume is like a better. You would take your, you know, your
I guess he
stronger
got
units.
promoted from sanitation to finally be a foot soldier, and
Right.
then he his first assignment, he not botched it, but he got scared.
Makes sense. Okay, that kind of gives that. And actually, if they would have not like just thrown us the one-liner on sanitation,
Yeah.
then maybe that would have been actually felt really good. And this is what I mean. If we would have got more of these characters previously, it would have been better. Because if I would have seen like a really nice Kylo, right? Like imagine we get like a four movies, probably a quadrilogy. Because in the first movie, if I would have seen Kylo being like really awesome and sweet and like the nicest wholesome fucker, and then it would have seen him be like a bad guy and like struggle being a bad guy, it would have been great. I would have had some empathy with the character, and when he threw his tantrums, I
You would
would.
have rather had like basically the his prequel as the first one.
Right,
Like the first one be him as a good guy and then falling to the dark side, and then this one would be more like the second movie.
right. Because then you have a
Okay.
situation. Same thing for Finn. It would have been cool to see Finn want to be a trooper, right? Like he's raised with them, he's with them. He's like, "Fuck yeah, I want to be a trooper," and even put maybe him. He has some Kylo
I
action.
disagree that that we would need a whole movie. I would just think that rather than uh or not rather than, but if they allotted a better their time better to further explore these characters, like trust me, I would have rather this movie been the Finn and Kylo Ren story, and Finn be like the nobody who came from nowhere, who became a Jedi from fucking old stormtrooper, ex stormtrooper to badass Jedi. But I don't want to go on a giant rant about how I would have wrote this movie.
Right.
But yeah, they definitely there's a way where you can write a movie where you don't need a previous movie establishing him somebody struggling with the dark side. You can just have the movie itself already have him struggling with the dark side, or implying that he had struggled with the dark side by doing it better, by showing him struggling with the dark side the entire movie, which he doesn't really. He just says, "I feel the pull from the light," and his
That
master
line was
saying,
awful. Oh, I wanted
and
to literally, I wanted to throw up.
his master saying that like there's still uh I sense a struggle in you or something like that. I don't remember. But
Right.
instead of having those lines, rather just show him struggling with this. Nah, instead of just oh, let me just murder these people.
Well,
Bruh.
I think that's what they were doing with the whole tantrum, right? He was supposed to kill that guy, but then he was
Mm.
not wanting to kill that guy, so he didn't know
They
how
destroyed
to.
equipment instead.
Yeah, he didn't know how to do his frustrations, so he just let him out in the equipment.
Mm.
Made him look like a whiny bitch, though. It wasn't very well done.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just hard because like he's supposed to be the bad guy. He's supposed to be
Mm.
the Vader, but he's not, which is he's not supposed to be. But there was a huge void that wasn't filled because of that. So it's like he was the Vader of the movie. That's why it felt weird. Because I don't give a fuck about that pretty boy dude, his assistant or other admiral, or
Hux.
whatever. Yeah,
Hux.
fuck that guy. He wasn't. He was kind of annoying and threatening, and he was a pretty good bad guy overall.
I
don't
guess
get
he
me
was
wrong.
supposed to be the Grand Moff Tarkin.
Maybe yeah.
But
So he was fine. I think he was
I would
fine.
say
But
he's played for less of a fucking joke in this movie than the next. I really didn't like how they treated him in the next movie.
I can't remember it.
He's literally a fucking cartoon character in the next movie. They just throw him around with the Force because of his
Unfortunate.
failures. Yeah, like one of them literally. I can't remember if it was Snoke or fucking Kylo. Literally fucking forces him to the ground and it fucking moves him around on the ground with the Force. I'm like, bruh. That's not. You don't. I don't know. Are you trying to make Snoke look intimidating, or are you trying to just make kids laugh about him throwing this guy everywhere with the Force? Pick
Right.
one.
Yeah, no, it sucks because I think I would have liked that a lot, seeing Finn and him grow
Yeah.
and watching it turn on its head. You know, watching him be like this nice guy and then slowly become corrupted, or kind of like how we got with Anakin, right?
Yeah.
Watching Kylo.
I would.
do the
I wouldn't want
same-
to see it all over again. But
Yeah, I don't want the same like.
my
shit.
choice would have been to keep Kylo Ren as a bad guy completely.
Mhm.
If Rey is a Solo or a Skywalker or whatever, have her be the one that struggles with the light and the dark side. Because like if Luke or Leia abandoned her, she'd have like these
chip on her shoulder.
about oh shit, I like the Resistance, but they have fucking abandoned me.
Right.
And then so like she would have that naturally. The I want to help, but I also fucking hate these people for what they did to me.
Right.
And then Finn be the good guy who came from nothing. So you can still have that story about a Jedi who came from nothing, from nowhere. He was just fucking randomly picked up thrown into this stormtrooper force, like every other kid who was thrown into the stormtrooper force.
Right.
So you can still have that story that they ended up doing with Rey, or try to do with the second movie, and then they completely reverted to let's make her somebody special again. But she was very heavily implied to be someone special in this movie. So
right. And it's actually one thing that I think that I liked about the third one too, that kind of retconned some stuff. And I don't know how we write these or judge these movies, right? Because I'm gonna give it a higher rating after watching the third than I would have.
We've been rating all the previous ones based on our knowledge of the other movies. So
Right.
I'd say
I think it's still fair.
Yeah.
Because I think overall, and you kind of have to, right? Because if you don't get something to tie the pieces together, they're just movies are fucking dog shit. But I really actually appreciate when they did expose, oh, she's a fucking Palpatine. That's why she was abandoned and left behind. So like the bloodline was left. It was like that shit makes a lot of sense because if you look at everything she did throughout this movie, it was all instinct. It was all just like instinct, and whenever she fucking like just let her shit take over, that's kind of when she was the strongest and the best. So it looked like she was just tapping into the dark side very easily because her powers were crazy. I mean, shit, what was the first thing she was doing was what? She didn't force choke. I think she mind controlled a dude.
She did the Jedi manipulation.
I swear she did some other stuff, but I can't remember it off the top of my head.
That's it.
Maybe not.
I think that was the only use of the Force she did, right? Where she made that one guy.
I know when she got pissed, she beat the shit out of Kylo. He was injured. But...
he was like beating her, and then she like took a deep breath, and then all of a sudden gained a bunch of power.
Right.
Which I guess that's what the Force can do.
Right.
That's new.
That was a little weird, yeah. And even like before that, she didn't know anything about the Force. I want to give it a little bit of a.
Granted, Kylo was shot. Yeah, he was shot in the side. Whatever.
Right. I guess that gives.
He was only using one arm, really.
Right.
When he was fighting.
And we don't know how long he's been training. I mean, obviously, it's been. I'll give 5 years.
He's roughly like her age. So he's been training. I don't know, fucking 5 to 10 years.
Right, because he was training under Luke, but we don't know how much saber combat he was training with.
The next movie, he was like he looked like, I don't know. They tried to fucking use they might have tried to use special effects to make him look younger. I could not tell.
Let's see.
But I don't know. I guess 14 or 15, maybe 16.
Was it the second one where she trains with Leia?
Does she train with? That's the third one.
Okay, never mind. Third one. I think I like the third one the best, definitely. Because
you told me that the third one was like the best movie, the best.
Right.
It reinvigorated your love of Star Wars, which is funny because everyone else told me they didn't like it, and I was like, okay.
It was. I'm excited to get there again, just because I don't remember a lot of it, but I do remember bits and pieces that I liked. That kind of took me back from how terrible these first couple were. But a lot of it was the storytelling.
I do not mind this one. I just feel like they're just like, hey, here's Star Wars again. Cool. Here's our new main cast. I like them. They're fine. Let's see what they do.
I think they're okay. I'm not even a huge fan of the cast, I guess, as well. That puts like a damper on the whole trilogy as.
Oh, I love all four of our new characters. I guess I have 5 if you include Hux. I like that actor too. He's great.
I mean, I like Poe a lot. I think he's really cool. I think Poe's really cool. I think Finn's all right. I would have liked
the guy who does claws is Snoke. I could be wrong.
I don't know.
The guy who plays Ulysses Claw, I think he plays Snoke as well.
Maybe.
Claw is the bad guy from Black Panther. Well, not the bad guy from Black Panther, but the white guy with the claw arm.
Yeah, he's the merchant.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think Finn was cool, but I like the jokey Finn. And that was another problem, like how dramatic they made some of this movie too. Like when he's trying to tell her when he's leaving and she's trying to stop him, the way that shit was filmed was as if they were dying. Like it was like the most intense shot. He's like, "You need to get out of here. We need to leave." And like talking down. I don't know what. I can't remember what they had tuned out because it was so fucking dramatic. The little conversation they were having, as if they'd known each other for 10 years. And I was like, "What the fuck, dude? You just I like you more as like a kind of comedic relief, or like I don't need to be here, like an Usopp. I really liked him as like an Usopp, and then they just turn around and make him a war hero.
I would have liked if they went in one direction or the other, or had I don't know, because like Usopp, Sokka from Avatar is a nice blend of comedic relief and deep characterization, but that has a whole show, so it has way more time to fall into one line or the other during the episodes, and it doesn't really do jokes while he's having his somber moments or his badass moments. Actually, his badass moments, he does have a lot of jokes in there, but it plays into the badass moments rather than.
You see that? You see when you get the guy in the eyeball?
Yeah. With the boomerang, no, and then it fucking hits him. Yes.
Right. That shit was funny, and that's why I like when he was talking to Phasma. He was like, "Yeah, I'm in charge." He's like, "Cool it, kid."
Yeah,
it was fun.
Also, yeah, Han Solo actually struck me a lot better than the first time I watched it. I thought, for some reason, I don't know what it was the first time I watched it. I thought he was phoning it in, but it definitely looks like he's having fun being an old Han Solo.
Oh yeah, he was great. Chewie was great, obviously.
Surprisingly, I like BB-8 more than I did initially.
I still think I don't like the way he looks. The way his head wobbles.
I definitely do not like the way he looks, and I don't like the droid design. I still think the ball is stupid.
Right.
But when he gave the fucker the thumbs up, I fucking died.
He was sometimes, I thought, over characterized.
Yeah.
And like it was like, you're trying to be funny. I can tell like the writing is a little bit too much. But even in those little bit too much bits, I still laughed. So it was good. I think overall, I don't like the design.
All right, so how'd you like your boy C-3PO cutting into Solo and Leia?
Literally, that was like the highlight.
I didn't think you'd recognize me. I got a red arm.
Stupid. I love it. He said, "Hey, did you see who's here?" They're talking. They're in the... And the way he turns around, too. Because he has like the little squat as he turns around. I fucking love it, dude. No, he best character. Speaking of droids, why the fuck? And again, this is the shitty parts of this movie. Why did R2 just randomly wake up?
Why was he randomly in a coma?
Like, why was he in a coma? And then why did he just randomly wake up? Like,
that's the stuff I didn't like about this movie. Is the random conveniences and the random inconveniences. Like. Right. Let's not explain anything. Actually, that's a whole theme with the. Well, I'm not gonna say this trilogy because I barely remember watching Rise of Skywalker, but I'm gonna say with the first two movies of this trilogy is a lot of stuff is just inconvenient for no reason, no explanation, or
Right.
inconvenient with no explanation, just
Right.
kind of blah.
And that's why I had a big problem with like how it's just like the first hour and a half, or first hour is just like, hey, we're here. Now this is happening. Now this is happening. Now Han's here. Now this is happening.
Yeah.
Now we're over here. It's like, yeah, I get it, but you haven't
Yeah, it's
done
less
anything.
if and then if or cause and effect storytelling, and it's more this happened and that happened and this happened and that happened. Not
Right.
because this happened, but just because just this is happening now.
Yeah,
Then
it
this
never,
is
it never
happening.
felt like I was waiting for something to unfold. It didn't feel natural, none of it.
Yeah.
It just felt like set piece after set piece after set piece.
Yeah.
Even poor Maz! She's ran this establishment for thousands of years. Destroyed it in the next 10 minutes. I was like, dude, come on. Like,
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. I was like, oh, there's a place where, the bad guys don't go, the good guys don't go. It's been here for a long time, even before the Empire, which means...
They did a good job showing how evil the First Order was, though.
They
A lot of
destroy everything that they went everywhere. You seen that?
they destroyed the fucking they destroyed the Republic, the Republic base. That I was like, 'cause that's one of the things I thought was weird in the second movie. Is like, wait, how did they already take everything over? Oh, they literally blew up the planet that the Republic fleet was on. Oh,
Yeah,
I
'cause
forgot.
that was the place where the Senate was, right? That's the same. Same
That's what the
fucking
Senate was.
planet?
Yeah, they just completely destroyed. I guess Coruscant, or unless they didn't put it on Coruscant this time, they put it somewhere
maybe.
else.
It was weird though. I guess it was, and that was another thing that I didn't have.
We
a
just
rhyme
wiped
or
out
reason.
nameless planets too. There was a lot of nameless planets that got wiped out. Like at least Alderaan we knew, less where Leia was from, and that was her family. So like because we like Leia, we feel her sadness.
Right.
That
makes sense.
Those other planets were like nameless planets that we didn't know shit about.
Right. And it's funny because even when we did know a little bit, I guess, like the first random sand planet they're on with the old man, dude, they just went through and burned that shit to the ground. I was like,
Yeah, they did a really good job establishing the First Order as a threat. I like
right.
that. That was
that
good.
shit was wild. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? They're just burning it down and killing all the people. You're here for the map. Just
I
get the
completely
map.
forgot what the that the Star Killer base absorbs all the light from a star. Oh man, that shit was
I actually
great.
gave that a pass too. At first, I was like, really? But I was like, you know what? You need to stop.
It looks cool. They
I
did
was
a
like-
good job filming it, so I was
Oh,
fine with it.
No, I would have given that a pass in any anime, in any action movie. I would have given that a pass anywhere else. So I'm not gonna.
I even gave. Like, I hate like super on the nose bullshit, but I even gave the line where they were like, "When the light is gone," or like, "You have to do this before the light is gone," and I was like, "Bro."
I was cool with that. If they would have left that and not the 15-minute time limit,
Yeah.
God, that's another problem with that shit. We have 15 minutes till it goes off, and they were like crash landed, like
Yeah.
miles away from the base.
Yeah.
I'm like, it would take you like an hour to get to the base. Period. That shit was stupid. Don't do time limits in movies unless you're gonna. Stick with it.
I really, really liked the way Han got to Starkiller Base, where they fucking came out of light speed right before they fucking hit
yeah.
it. So because it goes all the way back to like the original, the very first Star Wars movie, when he says that like he tells Luke about having to fucking put your coordinates in properly, otherwise you'd smash into a fucking planet or an asteroid or something, come out of hyperspace into an asteroid or something.
Right.
That was really cool.
Yeah, no, and it was even funny too because he was like, "Don't worry, I can get us in." How? You're not gonna like it. Oh, dude,
Fucking
also-
Chewie. All you hear is Chewie. I'm pulling up.
Yo, that shit, yeah, dude, that shit was fucking great. Pull up, I'm pulling.
Oh shit.
Oh man, that shit was great. I also like when fucking Maz shows up. Where's my boyfriend? He's fixing the ship. Fucking Chewie. Oh my god, yeah. There's so many little bits that were so awesome, but then it was like so much of it was so bad.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh.
fuck. Oh yeah. What do you call it? When Kylo sees fucking Finn, I promise you they did not have a relationship.
Oh, they did. When he yells "traitor," I'm like, bro, he was a random foot soldier.
Yeah.
That
like,
you abducted. Oh, he didn't, but Cuts
Right.
abducted.
he was a fucking nobody that you probably would have killed if he disobeyed you.
Mm-hmm.
No, that line was so bad, and that's shit like that too. That's why I can't get on board with how the characters were done for Kylo, Finn, or Rey was fine. Her
I'm talking about
personality
their
was fine.
characterization. I don't mean they're like the things that they did with them, but like characterizing them and like how their personalities are and what their motivations were. I think were well established. Not like they didn't tell you outright. They just kind of had them do some things in the beginning, but then they just completely abandoned all that stuff and they just did whatever the plot necessitated them to do.
Right,
In
and
those,
that's I
a
guess
lot
that's
of
my
those
problem
movies.
because you're right in the beginning, right? It was like, oh, Kylo struggles with the dark side. He's going to be interesting because we don't know what he's going to do later on. He's a wild card. Finn
Yeah,
is a little bit scared, but he wants to help. Okay, and and then it's like, oh, Poe's well, Poe's fine. I mean, getting him. Ray,
it was great.
yeah,
There's
Poe's
nothing
great.
wrong with Poe.
Um, it was like, and then Ray was pretty. Yeah, Ray was pretty consistent even throughout. Her powers and the random shit she was just really good at all the time
Hmm.
was a problem because there was no reason for her to be good at it, and she wasn't good at that before. That's the thing, because I've heard people complain about this movie, and they said the same thing. They're like, "Wow, look at me! I'm a new female protagonist, and I'm good at everything, and all men are bad." And they did like a whole SJW spin. I don't think
Hmm.
that's the issue. It's not the SJW spin. I think it's that
I
she
would
did.
definitely say they even have her fail a lot. Like she fucking did the blast doors wrong and unleashed the fucking dudes.
Right.
Like they even give an explanation as to why she's getting really good at these things. It's because of the force, but I don't like the explanation. But that's
No.
why. So it's
Right.
not like there's no reason.
And I want to give some credit to them. And I'm going to give them because I do this for most movies, and I wasn't going to do it for this one. But in true, I guess, objective fashion, my random tray bullshit to explain things away, she didn't do any of this crazy shit for Force stuff until Kylo fucked with her brain and
Yeah,
like did that Force thing. And I think that may have you've seen Hunter x Hunter.
yeah,
I'm gonna expose your chakra points to this, and from now on you'll understand what that feels like, and then you'll be really good at shit really fast.
yeah.
I think that may have been, if you want to give that credit there. I don't know. I don't like that, but it's close enough. And I think if there was going to be a precedent for that, because I didn't like this line either, Kylo says, "We need to find her and stop her now. With every minute, she grows more dangerous." And I was like, so is there a precedent for like mind fucking somebody and then they get really good with their force,
Hold on.
or
My
because
bad.
he
I'm
made it
getting
seem
a.
like that was
Okay.
expected behavior. Yeah, no, I think overall, if that line is to be taken correctly, and he knows something we don't as the viewer, then
Yeah.
there's a precedent for this, right? That he
Mhm.
unlocked her force by fucking brain mushing her brain with the force.
Yeah.
So then now he unlocked it, and she's gonna get really strong really fast. So if that's the case, and they were leaning towards that, sure, I can give it a pass. I think that's terrible, but hey, I mean, if continuity
Yeah.
would have been done better, I wouldn't have. And if they would have explained it better like that, I would have
Yeah.
also been cool with it because they would have been like, oh yeah, that would have been a risk, right? He would have established that. She seems force sensitive. If I do this,
Um.
she could awaken her powers. It's okay. We need the map, and then he does it anyway, and it backfires.
On a similar note, I know a lot of people complain about Kylo losing
Right.
that fight to Rey and Finn
Right.
when they've never been trained. Uh, I don't know which direction they were leaning in this, but they were throughout the movie having Han use what the hell's his name? Chewie's fucking bolt blaster thing, whatever the crossbow bolt blaster.
Yeah.
He was using it, and it was like doing massive damage
Oh, yeah.
every time. And so I don't know if they're going into like the direction of, oh, that thing did massive damage to him, or Chewie put it on a smaller setting. He wanted to hurt him, but he didn't want to kill him because he was Han's son. So either the massive damage from the blaster was what made him weak against Finn and what's her name's Rey's fucking fight,
Right.
or he survived that blast. So I think that's another one a lot of people complain about, is that he even survived that blast from that thing. That
Right.
Chewie put it on a lower setting.
I think
So-
that makes the
and-
most sense.
Yeah.
Because Chewie's not. It'd be like
He's probably
me
like
or
an
you.
uncle to him, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it'd be like me or you, right? If my son just randomly was evil, I don't know. I don't think you would just go kill him, like, even if he killed me, maybe. But I don't know. Chewie's a really softy, like Chewie
Yeah.
throughout the movies has been shown to be a big softy. So I don't think that would have been.
maybe he
his
put it
nature.
on a lower setting, and that's why he survived that fucking straight blast on the fucking side.
Right.
And then he was, but he was still like weakened from the blast. I don't know.
Makes sense. And it's one of those movie things where like that's the explanation. Whether or not they execute it well, You know, it's because anime does it
Yeah.
all the time, right? They'll like
Right, yeah.
they'll rip someone's arm off, and
I
then
will
they'll
say, they
fight.
always come up with a good explanation. They may be stupid as hell, but they come up with
Right.
something good.
You know what I mean? Oh
Something
my god, I
plausible. They
was.
make sure you know this is why they're weak. Or
It's
the
true
character will
though. They
mention it
do
a billion
explain it
times.
very well. They're like, I've been poisoned, so I can only fight at 25% of my strength.
I'm so old. Back in my day, this wouldn't have been such an issue. Like, bro, I get it. You're old.
Right.
maybe I wouldn't get it.
Right. So maybe yeah, if they would have been a little bit more explicit, if he would have shouted something, because it would have fit his character too, right?
He does like
If I
fucking keep
wasn't
hitting
injured,
it
I
with
would-
his arm every time. Like every few fucking minutes, he'd grab his arm and just start bashing his fucking wound or the
Right.
side of his like next to his wound.
Right, right. So I don't know if that's like he was about to pass out and he was like trying to maintain composure,
Yeah.
like keeping the pain to keep him from passing out. I don't know how much blood he'd lost either, so might have been quite a
Yeah.
lot. So yeah, I think that makes sense. I think the injury is enough, but the
Yeah.
injury itself could have been. He could have said a line, right? Or she could
Yeah.
have said a line like "You're injured,"
Yeah.
stop. And then it's like "I'm not injured, I'll fucking kill you," and then he like fucks his swing up,
Yeah, he's like, I can take you out with one hand.
Right, and
Uh.
he says something like that, and then he starts to get beat. It's like, see, you can't do that, but the audience.
You
will know.
underestimate my
Bro,
power.
No, dude. But yeah, one thing also
You
about
will
Kylo
not
2 and the
take
weird,
her from me.
weird Force stuff that I think I'm
Yeah.
not gonna give the fucking pass.
Yeah.
When the map came out that she was looking at, it was a
Mhm.
full like it took up the entire room, and she casually looked at like one side of it. I actually want to say she was standing in the middle of it, and she may have been in front of where the little orange line was, but I can't confirm that. Either way, she had a peripheral random view of this map. So number one, that was not complete. But number two, when the fuck can the Force dig into people's minds and get a photographic view of everything they've ever lived? I want to know. Because that shit was kind of stupid. Like, I don't know. And I sound like one of those complainers that like, since when could the Force do this? It's magic. Yes, I guess technically you could do anything.
Yeah.
But
It does whatever the plot needs it to do, but it's always been super vague. Except for the prequels, it wasn't super vague. Everybody had the power to fucking push everyone or pull
you
things
can
and
push, jump, lightning. I think it was pretty well established from
force
1 to
jump.
6.
Yeah, let's say the prequels kind of established the basics of what Jedi's can do, and none of it really felt like it was out of the ordinary. And like force jump was already in the prequel, or was already in the originals.
Right.
Force push, moving, levitating stuff,
Lightning.
force pull,
Force choke,
lightning, force choke.
Force choke through TV screens.
The force choke through TV screens. That was the most outlandish one, I think.
Force sense, like you sense somebody you're very close to.
The sensing of life, like force, like sensing somebody die. So it was confirmed in this movie that Leia. I mean, we already confirmed in the original series that she could talk with Luke using the Force, but we weren't sure if that was Luke communicating with her or she was also like it's kind of a two-way.
Right. Now we
thing.
do know that you can read thoughts and feelings. Palpatine was
Yeah.
the master at that because he was
Yeah.
always, "Oh, how are you
Yeah.
okay? Are you fearful?" Or he always. That's how he was such a good manipulator. He always knew what
But yeah,
everyone
when
was thinking.
When Han dies, Leia has kind of an Obi-Wan moment from A New Hope, where she fucking like kind of like looks off into the distance and then kind of starts to fall a little bit, like. Or when our fucking prequel trilogy, when Yoda when Order 66 happens and he fucking feels it, all the Jedi dying.
Right. So no, that was definitely, I think, fine.
So yeah, so she can use the Force. There you go. Confirmed. In this movie, not even the next one, the one that made everyone mad.
Yeah, we always knew that she was Force.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Sensitive.
I mean,
She was Force sensitive.
She's Anakin's daughter. She has.
Yeah,
to
we
be
know
Force-
she's Force sensitive, but we don't know that she trained in the Force.
That's true. Yeah, we don't know, and I imagine she would have gotten a lot better with Luke over time.
Yeah,
were
Luke
never
even
told-
mentioned to her that she'll learn these powers in time. So
Right, and we were never told or like shown that, but I imagine she got really strong with Luke over the many years.
I feel like they should have had a little more of her using the Force casually. I always feel like that's something that I'd want to see in Star Wars. Is somebody who's Force sensitive, just not wanting to be either a Jedi or a Sith.
Right,
Just-
that'd be kind of cool, yeah, and it gives a new perspective on things too, because she never was either one.
Yeah. She was a good person, but she never would. She would never be one that would want to be a Jedi.
Right.
Too many rules.
I guess I could see overall. I can bridge the gap, right?
Yeah.
Because if Palpatine could read your thoughts and feelings, maybe not explicitly thoughts, but I imagine it's not a far stretch to think he could read your thoughts. So that would, because Kylo did read her thoughts in the beginning, which I thought was, made sense.
Yeah.
You know what? I take it back. I don't think he was going to read this photographic picture of her mind and watch the map through her. I think he thought that she had seen it, and she knew what planet he was on.
Oh, and he was looking for the planet in
And
her
he
mind.
he was going to torture her and where's the planet? Where's the planet? And eventually, if her mind wavered, she'd think of the name,
Yeah.
and then he'd catch it in her thoughts while he was reading them. So no, it checks out.
It checks out.
It checks out because my interpretation of what he was going to do was a bit different, but I think that makes more.
Yeah,
sense.
it's not till the next movie when we get Ryan Johnson doing the Zoom call with the Force. That's the weird one.
That is really weird, yeah. But it's one of those things. It's not out of the realm of possibility. There was a Force connection. Could you turn it into Force thoughts? Because he did.
I don't even have a problem with the Force projection that everyone else has a problem with. I'm fine with the Force projection that Luke had. He even died because of the Force projection. I think it would have been fine to be able to do it without dying.
Right, and we don't know too how long has he trained to do that as well.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a.
If motherfuckers can live forever in the Force because of how powerful they are with the Force, I feel like he could create a Force hologram of himself.
Right. Well, it's essentially a Force ghost, right?
Right, yeah.
But it's like his spirit. If your Force ghost can live on as a spirit, so can you. It's like astral projection.
Yeah.
It's no different.
And then making it visible.
Right. So it's no different than that, I would imagine, because their astral projections aren't visible all the time either when they show up.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think it's not impossible. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Even so, yeah, good thing. This is why we do this, folks. If you're still tuned in, this is what we do. You talk through it, and then you take back some points maybe you were too critical on or whatever. That's kind of the point why we're here. Because the point is not to trash something. I don't have. If any discussion comes up, like I think some of the worst ones, like this or She-Hulk.
I like watching trash just to talk about the good stuff that's in it. So I don't even care.
And try and soften the blow, because no one makes something purposefully bad, right? It's just, what did they do wrong? What did they drop the ball on? What did they not think of? Because sometimes it's just an oversight, right? Like, sometimes it's like, because if you look at some storytelling, and obviously not the only, but the best way to do storytelling is everything should be purposeful. Every shot, every scene, every line, you should think purposefully on what every character is and what they're doing and how everything unfolds at each moment. But that's a lot of fucking work. And you don't necessarily have to do that, because I don't want to say there's throwaway shots, and this is where bad writing is allowed to seep its way in. But you could say, hey, boom, boom, this happens, and there's explosions, and they gotta get out fast. You could just kind of throw some lines in there, and there's some explosions, some gunshots, and they run through a corridor. That's not necessarily super important. But where it becomes a problem is when you see a movie and all these things feel rushed or feel uninspired or feel like they're just a bunch of set pieces thrown at you. It's like, that's not good. Because other movies, it's like, well, those are just set pieces, but they're not. There's nuance. See this line? When they were in the hallway running, this line matters. See, when they got here, that this thing was in their way, it's because it was established earlier, and that's why it's in their way now. Continuity-wise, it makes more sense. It's all those little details that I think this movie didn't have that really kind of stopped it from being a great movie, because I think, fuck, man, I would have given it, like, pretty high, right? Like, if all the nitpicks I had were kind of fixed,
yeah,
I think I would have given this a really high. It had potential to be one of the best in the series, I think.
One of the things you said about everything has purpose really made me think of something that they probably looked at some scenes that they probably filmed or decided they weren't going to film because, like, this doesn't serve a purpose, and it's maybe some character lines and stuff like that are in that scene, and they probably cut them out or just didn't want to have them because they're like, the movie's too long and stuff like that. Like,
maybe,
yeah, there's maybe some scenes in there that, like, because a lot of people would look at stuff like that and just be like, nah, or some characterization moments, like with Han fucking hauling ass against the stormtroopers in Episode 4.
Right.
I think nowadays that would be cut out. I think.
Said, I'm gonna hold him off. He runs out. Fuck that.
Ultimately, nothing happens, right, in that scene.
Yeah, but
it shows how Han. Yeah, so I was to say, like, I think there's a lot of scenes like that not being left in movies anymore.
Right. That makes sense.
And that might English is hard. That might be why a lot of characters don't land as good as they aren't as iconic as they used to be.
That makes sense, because it's like, for example, in this one, when Chewie was getting checked out, the little nurse is talking to him. Oh, that must have been scary. Ooh, you're so brave. Ooh. That stupid fucker, dude. I love.
Yeah, that nothing happened there, but that's hilarious, and it shows more of Chewie,
Right,
like
he's such a
how
fucking softie, dude. Like,
yeah, it's a big fucking softy.
I love it, man. But yeah, if you didn't get that, if you only got less of him and his interactions with Han or whatever, you might think he's just a big beast man. Like, yeah, Chewie's so scary. It's like, no.
Yeah,
For someone who has no dialogue, they personify him really well. Same thing for all the droids. I mean, you could call it implied dialogue, but
yeah, it is implied because you have to make sense out of what they say from the other person's reactions.
right.
So it exists. You can kind of
But-
not everybody's going to interpret it the same way, but
Right.
yeah.
Back to
You
Phasma
basically
getting
get the
fucked
shit
up
that-
because I just found a
Yeah.
note about this. Again, we needed more of her. She was established as not important, but around.
Yeah,
in the
she was
beginning.
like Hux number 2.
Right, and then if you look towards the end when they kidnapped her, she just turned off the shields and let him go, and I didn't like that because I don't. And again, I don't have enough screen time to definitively say this is her character, how she would act, whatever.
Is she in the third one? I
But,
don't know if she remembers the third one.
She just like turns the shields off. I feel like that's the kind of bad bitch that's literally gonna stop and like, well then fucking kill me. Those shields aren't going down.
Yeah,
You know, or like she would have said, "Oh, I'll turn the shields off," and then rung the alarm in the room with them there. You
yeah.
know? And then they would have been like, "What the fuck?" And they would have shot her. She'd have went and fell down, but not dead. And then the stormtroopers would have raided the place. He would have shot the console. The shields would have went down. Something, you know. It felt really weird that she just kind of rolled over.
Yeah.
But again, maybe they didn't have plans for her character. Maybe I'm reading into a character they never had plans with. But she's the armor is so fucking cool. And she has ties to Finn's. I think that really was a character they kind of missed the ball on.
Yeah, I thought she was supposed to be Finn's like final boss lady or something, but
Right.
who knows?
Finn's such a stupid, but I guess I like it kind of. This is again,
The
like, this is the moment.
FN, the way he got his name.
No, I like that. That's cool.
Okay.
But when he's turning his back, like fucking Rey gets cut down or something, and Kylo's right there, dangerous as fuck. He just turns and kneels on the ground with her and just lets his back show right to the bad guy, like he won't do anything to him. And it's just really weird. I'm like, what the fuck are you thinking? You know, like that's just dumb. But it makes sense, given his like whole joking, like kind of a bitch, comedic relief, kind of whatever that direction.
Yeah.
I would have been cool with that. But then he just immediately turns around and does this whole hero shit again, and I'm like, I don't. If you're a hero and you're a trained stormtrooper, that's also the thing. He's a trained stormtrooper, and sometimes it's like, yeah, I'm good with the blaster and all this other shit, and he's like some kind of tactical dude, and then he's just not tactical dude at all, and it's like it just goes out the fucking window. So it's too flip floppy for me. And like you said earlier, if it had picked one direction, I think I would have been really cool with it. Like if he was just this, I got a chip on my shoulder, I'm foaming at the mouth, I'm gonna take down the Empire, or First Order. Let's fucking go, dude. I'm all about it, right? If he was just fucking foaming at the mouth, chip on his shoulder, like, yes, kill these motherfuckers right now, and he was like way too aggressive, hell yeah. It would have been awesome, you know what I mean? If he was like just mad aggressive, because it's like his training as a soldier and training as the First Order, but now he's gonna turn it back against them, and sometimes they have to like calm him down, right? Ray has to be like, calm down, don't kill these people, type shit. That could have been a crazy dynamic for him. Or either way, yeah, pick a fucking thing and dive into it, you know?
Yeah.
Characterize the fuck out of him and then lean into that direction the whole time. He was just so flip floppy. Let me see. I'm trying to think if there's other things, because I'm close to the end of my notes. I think we've covered a lot of it.
Yeah. Starkiller base. We talked about Starkiller base.
It's
How
also
does
just
that function?
Starkiller
How does that
base
work?
had no fear. That's another thing. There was no tension. There was no fear. There was no, oh my god. And I don't know why. And I think a lot of it is because the people didn't care, right? Like
Yeah.
the actual like characters didn't care. But I didn't care either because I already saw fucking 4 and 6.
I like how they even made it. They were like, "Ours is bigger. Like this is the Death Star. This is Starkiller base."
I like
Okay.
what Han said though. Completely. There's got to be a way to blow it up. There always is. I fucking love it. That shit. But that's the problem. That's the kind of joke that like a critic would make, or that we would make as
Yeah.
like reviewers. You don't make that in your own movie at the problem that exists. It's almost reminiscent of
It
the kind of like,
it kills your own stakes.
yeah,
But
it
yeah,
undercuts the entire point of the movie, and it's almost like what She-Hulk had a shit ton of that with some of her wall breaks. Is why I didn't like them.
yeah,
It's like you're
yeah,
gonna undercut yourself with that line. Why would you do that? That's a line other people make, and you lean into it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like you lean into the cheese. You lean into it being a bigger, badder Death Star. You know, and then maybe you subvert the expectations in the end, right? It's like there's always a way to stop it. Let's just go find the exhaust valve like we did for the last one, and then someone goes, yeah, and then they try that and it doesn't work, and it's like, what
yeah.
the fuck are we gonna do now? That was our whole plan, and the audience is like, what are you gonna do now? You're supposed to. The movie's almost over,
Yeah.
and then maybe they get away with it, and it goes into number two, and the Death Killer Star is still there,
Yeah, the
and
Star
it's
Killer.
like, good.
Star Killer base.
Oh yeah, Star Killer. So it's like, yeah, I don't think there's so many ways you could have played into it, but I just didn't feel any tension. And again, like I said, Kylo wasn't a good bad guy. Snoke was hardly there on any screen time, and I didn't really care about him because he wasn't integral to the plot at all. He didn't do anything. And then the other Lux was
What's
like,
it?
okay,
They ended this movie with like a triumphant note, but they still lost. I don't know. I was like, wait, but the Republic's dead. What do you? The not the Republic, but the fucking Senate and the fucking fleet. They're gone.
right.
You didn't kill the First Order. At least I didn't. Well, I mean, we know that they didn't kill the First Order. I guess we didn't know that after this movie.
Well, we don't know how much there was, right? Because we
Yeah.
can. I guess we could.
Well, what's this? Snoke said, "Y'all come to me." So I guess Hux and we know that Hux and what's his face lived, and they went to
right.
Snoke.
But that could have been. That's it, right? It
There could have been
like,
there could have been a bunch of Phasmas leading a bunch of different divisions of Star Killer base. I don't know.
maybe, yeah, but I thought that they were trying to imply that that planet was the new place.
Yeah.
Like that's their planet. So when you blow the planet up, all of them are gone now. Is what I thought.
Yeah.
But maybe
Also, how does that planet live when they absorb the entire sun?
I imagine it has jet boosters, right?
Yeah, but how does it? How do they get warmth for their trees?
Oh, well,
Is
they
it
don't.
just from?
I don't think
it's
the
just
trees
flo-
matter. I think the trees are just leftover
it
from
is-
when they first like inhabited it.
Okay.
Because it's space. You don't need, look at fucking Mos Eisley, or what? No, fuck, Tatooine.
Yeah, but they have a planet. Even if a planet is an ice planet, it still has a sun that keeps it relatively warm. That because the vacuum of space is way colder than just an ice planet, or like
Oh yeah.
the Earth
Well,
when it was in an
I
ice
think they
age.
have like it's like you know Halo, right?
Yeah,
Probably something like that. Artificial gravity, artificial everything.
I thought the Halo rings are always near a sun though.
So I guess you could. Yeah, I don't know. Never thought about it.
I don't know. It's fine.
Science.
It's a fantasy. It's not a sci-fi, so it's fine. But
Right.
it's just what I thought about. I was like, oh right, it absorbs the sun. That's sick. I was like, how do these trees exist?
Well, I
Wait.
think the sun hadn't been absorbed until they shot it. So let's assume.
Yeah,
that's
but
their
the
first
trees
one.
already exist. That they go from one planet to another because they already used it, so that they go absorb. Because I think they said they have to absorb the whole fucking. It's unimportant, but I mean.
Well, yeah, no, but like, so for example, like that was the first time they had done it. So the planet was chilling. It was normal. They
I thought
absorbed
they had
the
already
sun.
fired it once, and then
They
they
had
moved on
fired
to
it
another
once?
planet. I thought they had already fired it once, and then they moved on to another planet. Yeah, because they had already fired it once when they shot the Senate and all that, and then they went
Yeah.
to absorb another sun or another star, and that one was going to be shot at the Resistance.
Right. So like, yeah, they just pretty much they go from sun to sun. I guess it has light speed travel. The planet does.
I guess maybe
I don't know. You probably need a lot of fucking jet boosters or whatever for that, but
it's whatever. It's fine. But yeah, it's good. That's no moon.
that's no moon.
Because the Death Star didn't have like plant and shit, so I was like, yeah, it's a space station. But this one has plants and has like it's not just a rock planet. That's just a barren desert. So I was like, but it's fine. Maybe it has like I don't know some kind of internal systems where they can heat the ground from the star. That they absorb all its energy and shit. So whatever. Maybe they came up with some shit.
Probably some internal.
Unimportant to the plot, so it's probably in some like art book or something.
Right. I also didn't like. Fucking found this in the notes too. Is that how fucking shitty that scene was when the monsters got released? It started off really cool, but then when it grabbed,
I didn't
Finn,
remember that scene.
when it grabbed Finn, it undercut the whole thing because that monster had been devouring the fuck out of everyone it touched. As soon as it got him, it grabs Finn. Nah, I'm just gonna carry you around for a little bit.
That's in every monster movie though, so I give it a pass.
No, because you could have just. Cause they usually escape pretty quickly though. Like it's trying to pull them in. They grab onto a ledge. It's pulling me. It's pulling me. We know. And then before it can get you, they stop it. That was drawn out. I mean, he ran through a couple corridors. She had to.
Yeah, like dragged him through some. I mean, it was full. It just ate like five, 6 people.
Maybe, I guess.
It was. Remember when you eat like burgers, you know, like when the time you get to the third one, you're like, ugh, it's taking you a couple bites.
I guess. I'll give it a little credit, but I did like Han in that shit though. He was like, "What are you gonna do? Talk my way out of it, like I always do." I always do.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
That shit was great. And then he said, dude, I don't even have to deal with those guys. I don't even know those guys. Those guys open the door. Hey, guys. A stupid fucker, man. Oh,
He's great. I love Han.
But that's, I guess, I like those parts, but they just didn't need to be in the movie. I also don't understand him and Leia's whole thing felt really forced. Like, because it was like they lost Ben.
They were split up?
Yeah, it was like because Ben left and then so did he. How many years ago was that?
They didn't go into it very well. It seemed like it was several years the way they were talking about it, but I think it was only supposed to be like 5 years ago. Maybe 10 years ago? I think it was supposed to be a teenager when it happened, and he's like in his mid-20s now. So
I guess also the ages are complicating that too.
Yeah.
And that's no one's fault to the actors in real life. They just got older.
Yeah.
Because I was so they had been together for a very long time. For him to just up
I mean,
and not speak
if a kid commits crimes and shit in the real world, it often leads to a lot of strain to the family, and like the parents sometimes split up. He did say
he said I had to deal with it my own way. You had to deal with it with like yours.
Yeah, exactly. So like it probably caused a lot of strain between them. So it made sense to me that they split up. And if they weren't split up, I'd be fine with it too. Either way, because either one's happened. It's just that it wasn't delved into. It was just that one line.
Right. Well, thinking more on Han's character, it makes a little more sense. Because I don't know, Han obviously he was a family man at one point. That was why it was hard for me to understand. He was a full family man, and then all of a sudden he just fucking dips, and never comes back, and never talks to Leia or his son ever again, and just chills as a bounty hunter. And I was like, that doesn't, or I guess a smuggler. It didn't make sense.
It was really weird hearing them say Vader. There's too much Vader in him, and then
that was really weird.
I don't know. I don't know what's weird about Han and Leia. Whenever they talk about Vader, it just seemed off.
Right. Well, it's because that Vader is a part of Luke, not a part of him. It felt weird. Like there's a disconnect.
Yeah.
I get yes.
Like even though she is Vader's daughter, it's still he wasn't really part of her story.
Right, and that's what makes it feel weird that she's the one being, or her son is the one being corrupted.
Yeah. It's my grandfather.
Right, and it's what do you call it? But yeah, no,
I don't know what to do, grandfather.
When I think about what Han's character too, more so. I think it makes more sense. Like young Han, right? He's still in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's like when he would have left, he would have wanted to come back, but he can't. Right, as a man. It's like, I've already left. I already hurt her. What am I going to do? Come back and say I'm sorry?
Right.
I think as a man, he wouldn't know how to tackle that situation emotionally, so he would just fucking ignored it. And it would have only gotten worse the more he ran, which is why he would have been doing all these dangerous missions, because he was just kind of wanting to die, I guess. Like sort of a pseudo-suicide thing, where it's like, I'll just take the most dangerous shit I can until it's over. That's sad. Poor Han. Dude, Han's such a good character.
Right. Leia too.
Also, his death scene was fucking, I don't know, terrible. I didn't even like the symbolism they were trying to do, because like
when the light turned off, or
the red light and the blue light, I was like, I get what they're doing, but it made the shot look really weird, because the way Han was standing, he looked like he was a poster, like he was like a guy on a poster, like come join me or something. Yeah, and it just felt weird coming from him. I guess I don't know. It introduced itself very well because he didn't even shout his name with like love. He just shouted Ben. I was like, damn, you're supposed to bring him back to your side, not scare him.
Not like it's this point dead.
Right. And
I thought it was
it was good. So it was appropriate, I guess. But then Kylo also ruined it, because I get it, like the whole subversion thing, like you're talking about. but it just the line was really cheesy and shitty. Like, I need to do something, but I can't do it. Will you help me? I was like, God, shut up, dude. I just hate that character. He's such like fuck. And when he's talking to his, forgive me, I feel it again, Father, or the grandfather, the pull to the light. Like, fuck off, God. I don't know. I just hate it.
The pull to the light. What is your pull to the light? What you haven't had a single inkling of good.
Right.
You've never had a struggle to do something bad. Maybe you struggled to kill a subordinate. Maybe I'll give you that one when he was attacking the fucking computer instead of the guy who gave him the bad news. But God, he never did anything or like hinted at doing anything good or trying to spare someone's life.
He killed the fuck out of all those people at the place.
Right.
And it was to the point, not only did he say kill them all, even when dude didn't take the shot, he turned and stared at him with like this intensity, like, I know you didn't kill him, you better kill him. Like, he was foaming at the mouth evil, what it seemed like in some scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just, and the way he delivers it is such fucking whiny bullshit. I don't know, this is awful. As much as I defend Anakin in the fucking 2,
I don't know who the fuck I was talking to one day, and they were like, "It's supposed to be like the opposite of Vader. Vader pulls he feels the pull to the dark side, but he doesn't want to go bad. He's a good guy, but he can just see how easy it is to go bad." I'm like, "Yes, because that's how we as people are. Right. There's not a bad person struggling like who's like." Who sees the good path is too easy to go down. I need to stay on my evil path. No, that's not.
Right. I do kind of like that though, in a way.
What's it? Fassbender. I think what they were trying to do was what Fassbender did in the fucking X-Men movies, where he's trying to be a good guy, but just bad things happen, bad situations, and it's hard. But again, it's still the same situation as Anakin, where he's a good guy trying to be good, but bad things happen and just pull him back into the darkness. I don't know how that would work. Trying to be a bad guy, but only good things happening. I can only see that happening in comedies. I don't know.
Well, I get what he's. I would like this too. Because I like that idea, that concept, because it makes it really cool in the dichotomy of him and Rey. And I love their evolution. This is one thing that 3 cleared up a lot for me, which made me appreciate 1 and 2 more. Is like, he's a good guy, born and fucking bred, always would have been like a righteous justice kind of light side of the force dude. But he desperately wanted to impress the bad guys and be a bad guy. But he couldn't do it, you know? It's like, if I'm going to join this bad guy group. Okay, we'll go kill that adorable bunny. Can I just kick it a little bit?
Yeah, you know? I guess, yeah.
And I like that idea, but who the fuck is he looking up to? That's my problem. He didn't know Vader. He didn't have a relationship with him. He's known nothing but good shit his whole life. So, like, who does he idolize that's a bad guy? And it's not like it's not Han.
I also don't like the excuse of how he was Luke. The falling out with him and Luke was so dumb. I could sense evil in him. What evil?
Right? Where did that evil come from? And Luke was gonna kill him too, like
right? A fucking like teenager? Your nephew?
Right?
Your father was a genocidal maniac, and you said, "I feel the good in you, father." Right. Bro, what? This kid hasn't done a damn thing yet, and you're gonna kill him over some evil thoughts you sensed in him?
Right.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, it was really that whole shit is kind of weird, and that's why the writing in these movies kind of suck. But I like what they were going for, and that's why I give some credit back, because it's really cool that, like, if you look throughout Rey's shit, I think it was number 3, I guess, where she does the Force lightning. Mm-hmm. Ooh, baby, that shit was good. And I like it because it shows how she tried Jedi training with Luke and she sucked at it. Like, she was just a really shitty good guy, right? She was really shitty at using the good side of the Force and doing meditation and all this stuff. But she always succeeded when they were on daring missions and she was just giving in to her emotions in the Force. Which makes sense. That's like Dark Side 101. Whereas Kylo always struggled to do bad shit. And I liked that. And then when they swap in 3, I think they swap completely. There's like a really cool scene where it does. It was nice. I was like, yeah, they did it. They really, like, they showed what they're naturally at. They've been trying to fight who they are for the last couple movies, and this climax is kind of cool when they kind of, you know, let it happen. and then they switch, and then things unfold naturally. I thought that was really interesting as a storyline, but it's not executed very well given their history or like anything else.
Mm.
Because yeah, Ben has nothing for that. Like, and you could squeeze it. Maybe he heard stories. Maybe Snoke showed him old videos of how powerful Vader was and played on his insecurities, right? He was like, "Oh, Vader did this and Vader did that. You're his blood. You could be that. You're not good enough. You're not good enough," and just kept filling his head with
Yeah.
insecurities. um, so maybe there's a little bit of idolization there, but it's just hard when you didn't even have a relationship with somebody at all to
Yeah.
really have this huge, desperate need. Because who the fuck is Snoke? I don't know. That's also another problem. He's not introduced very well. Maybe I don't know. Because the Emperor was a bit scary or interesting, but we got him a lot later, and
Yeah.
it was almost like we already knew Vader is the big bad. We didn't care if there was no more big bad than Vader. I think we would have been fine with it.
We knew of the Emperor since the first one, but we didn't know he was also a Sith Lord. Because
Uh,
in the first one, we only really we hear about Vader and his ancient religion and blah blah blah
that's
blah.
true,
But
right?
but they mention the Emperor in passing, but they don't say he's Darth Vader's master. They don't mention that he was uh that anything about the Emperor
Right,
knowing the ways of the Force or anything like that.
right, right. So when it
So
unveils, it's kind of interesting in a way.
yeah,
I think yeah, there was no interesting about it. Like it was just hey, he's got to have a master clearly, but that's also the problem. Where does this master come from? You know,
yeah.
and
Where's Snow come from?
I get that they, obviously in the end they explain it, but I don't think they were going for that in the beginning.
I mean,
And it's
shit, that's one of the things I will say that they learned very, very good, or not very good English. They learned from the sequel trilogies, or at least from the fan base. This is some criticisms of the features of the sequel trilogy. Every new character that gets introduced, we actually like. We don't get like a sob story, sad backstory, sob story, whatever. We get their where they came from. Very like it's addressed, or it's posed as a mystery, and we learn about it as the show progresses, and it's really
right,
cool.
and that's how it should be, right? Because like
Yeah,
if you introduce somebody, I need to know why they're there, how'd they get there, what purpose do they serve there? Are they?
even the video games do that. Have you played the Fallen Order or whatever, the Jedi
I
one
got it
game?
on sale for like $10 and still haven't played it. Now number two's coming out.
Well, he was a Padawan for like a Jedi during what's it? Order 66, and they escape, but his master dies, but so he escapes, and that's why he lives into the uh original trilogy era,
Mm-hmm.
because he's a escaped kid from Order 66, which I guess is the easiest way to explain all the Jedi's that are popping up now. So I
Right,
guess that's what they're doing now in the shows. I guess we're gonna call them the show
right,
series for Disney Plus.
right, right. That
Um,
makes sense. And actually, because I'm thinking about what could have been a cool way to introduce the big bad, if you would have actually tied it to his falling out with Luke, I think it would have been kind of cool. I
yeah.
don't know who you introduce, but introduce somebody. I think a humanoid figure would have been more relatable too, like not this giant monster man in a stone chair.
Well, it wasn't a giant. It was just a hologram.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I guess then I don't do that either. Don't put no
I think
hologram.
a lot of people forgot it was a hologram too, because everybody thought he was a giant. Everybody was disappointed by the time the second movie came out. I'm like, he was a hologram, wasn't he?
Yeah, there was a hologram. They do notice it, like it turns blue and fuzzy after he leaves.
Yeah,
But I guess it's all holograms so far have always been lifelike, or they've been
yeah.
either they're really tiny in your hand, or they're appropriate size. So I guess you can make the assumption there that it's appropriate sized.
I don't
And
know.
then
I would say it was. I would say it's not always the case, because definitely I think the Emperor looked a lot bigger toward when he was. It wasn't like massive, but he was definitely bigger than normal human size when he was projecting his hologram to the Trade Federation. Uh, he was also
yeah,
on top of a table, so maybe he just looked bigger. Uh,
maybe. I guess not important, but
yeah.
either way, yeah. If they would have introduced like the guy who led Ben down the dark side,
Hmm.
it would have been really cool. I don't know who you make him, right? Let's say maybe it was only Ben. Shit, that'd be kind of cool if Ben was the bad guy, right? He found some
Yeah, the only bad guy.
yeah, he found some ancient scrolls and like ancient texts, And he was like, "Look, Luke, I found more Jedi teachings. I found more Force teachings." And then like they didn't know about it because Luke doesn't know shit about the Force. He's probably a terrible teacher. He never even finished his own training to let alone go train other people. So if he would have found some
You
ancient
could have said his
texts,
training was complete.
yeah, whatever. Uh, that motherfucker had no.
I mean, not
training at
every
all.
Jedi. I mean, I'll say not every Jedi knows everything about the Force, anyways. Like they just it's symbolic when they say your training is complete.
Right, but I think
Like
I would
you're a
imagine
competent Jedi now.
he was the least trained out of any Jedi ever. I feel like.
I don't know. He was trained by two of the best. So
They didn't train him though. Obi-Wan spent 20 minutes with him. He said, "Look, use your
he
feelings."
told him that the Force is all around you,
No.
and to use your feelings. That's all that matters. Just use your feelings.
He got actual training with Yoda, which was cool. He did the cool backflip or front flip. I love that scene. But overall, anyway, if they would
He
have
did
found
the wax on, wax off.
right, if they would have found some cool ancient texts, and then Ben would have been diving into them, but nobody knew that they were dark side texts,
He learned how to sweep the leg.
it would have been really cool. Because then he would have been slowly getting like dark side as fuck, but he wouldn't know it. Maybe he starts to like transform physically as well, right? His eyes look a little crazy. He learns like force lightning or some shit.
I never. We always talk about this, and I just don't. I don't want to keep saying it every time. I never like think about force abilities as being tied to the light side, the dark side. The light side, the dark side is just
how you use them,
their emotions and stuff like that. And so.
But there are certain things that the light side sees as taboo.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely things that they would see as unnatural, or like you shouldn't do that. But I wouldn't say that those things could necessarily make you evil,
no, they
or
don't
turn
make
you
evil,
into like a different. No, that's what you just said. You're like it would disfigure him and all this. I'm like, no, I don't. Like when Anakin started killing younglings, that's what like made his eyes start turning yellow. Which I don't know. I don't know if they ever fucking wanted to keep going into that, but they never did anything with it.
Right.
But that wasn't from him using an evil force power. That was from him killing people with a lightsaber.
Right. I guess so. I get. Yeah, maybe I misspoke. Not that they're necessarily tied 1-to-1, but that something happens. There is a change that experiences, and it's noticeable. There's some noticeable change in whether it's his physique, whether it's the way he walks, talks, looks, the spells that are spells, the force shit that he's using.
They're wizards. They're magic space wizards. It's fine. They're spells.
So then like he uses these new spells that are like fucked up or unnatural or whatever, or some accident happens. Yeah. And then Luke confronts him about it, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And then he's like, "No, fuck you. This is the Force. I've been teaching it. I'm strong. I can do this or whatever." And then they have a falling out, and then they have like an actual fight for whatever reason. I don't know. You can write it better. I'm off the top of my head. But they have this huge fight, and then he goes and becomes like the new
off the rip,
Sith.
as the kids say.
Yes. So then he becomes the new Sith Lord, right? Because then he goes with his knights, right? He finds.
Yeah, I definitely think he doesn't need a master. I think they definitely could have wrote it in a way where he was just like he would. If anything, he would just call Darth Vader his master. He would be saying that he's communing with Darth Vader's ghost or some shit like that.
Right.
Even though he's not, he's just fucking delusional and is because he's trying to. Yeah. So it'd be cool. I'd like that.
Because then all his Torah, his shit, it would make sense. Because he was a good kid. He was just learning, right? That was his only crime was learning, and then Luke tried to kill him. Maybe Luke wasn't going to kill him, but he was trying to disarm him or whatever. And then it literally disarmed. That's fucking funny.
I would definitely like to have seen Kylo Ren lose an arm. I don't know, like that would have been very in line with his uncle losing an arm, his grandfather losing an arm.
Right.
That would have been cool, but it got bought by Disney, and Disney said we're not doing this hand cut off thing anymore.
Boo. But yeah, I think overall that would have been cool, and that's my short rewrite. I think there's so much more to rewrite. I don't even want to get into that shit.
I should have disfigured his face even more. They have he has a fucking line on his face.
Right.
Ooh.
Ooh. I did think
look, his nose should have been fucking cut off or burned off.
Right.
Or his fucking lip split or whatever, like something.
Yeah, teeth showing, like no mouth, just teeth showing.
Right. Oh god.
Scary. Oof.
Right. And then the second movie he just walks around without a mask, like fuck it, I don't even care.
Right. And that's gonna make him more angry, right? Every time he looks in the mirror, that leads him more down the dark path. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. But we got what we got, and it's not that it's not terrible. It's okay.
I mean, it's. Oof, I don't know. I'm lightening up after our whole discussion, but I'm still probably gonna give this a 5.
I'm probably gonna give it a 5.
It's
Sounds
just
about
it's
right for me.
bad. I can't forgive all of the bad writing. I can't forgive all of the terrible shit. But overall, there's really funny bits, and it's not bad if your standards are low. If you're not like a media dude or a story guy or whatever, girl, media person. If you don't analyze shit, you're gonna be totally cool with that, right? Like you're not gonna question who the fuck this random stormtrooper is that Finn's fighting with the weird baton thing.
Yeah,
You're gonna be like, yo, fuck yeah, that's cool. Finn had a cool
that
fight
was a
with the
trailer
saber.
shot. Yeah, that was a fucking trailer shot.
Yeah, so you're gonna be cool with that, right?
Yeah.
I'm not cool with that. That completely fucks a lot of shit up. Like there's just so much of that throughout the whole movie that if you're any sort of critical, you're gonna notice. Which is why I'm not giving it any lower, because I think a five means that anybody who watches it can get a decent amount of enjoyability. Probably not gonna want to rewatch it, but not necessarily a terrible ride. I think if you're critical of movies and shit like that, a little bit lower, maybe like a 4. No, that's a lie. I think it's closer to a 5 if you're critical, but if you're not, it's closer to a 6 or 7. Because if you're not critical at all, you're just going to have a good time, and there's a lot of things to enjoy as far as the
Give
action.
it a 5. Yep, that's mine.
Yeah, I'll give it a 5. So that's the lowest definitely out of the series. We'll see how number 2 looks.
So didn't miss anything. We talked about everything. Yeah, and
think so.
overall
We covered most of
score.
it.
All right, like, subscribe, do all the things. We're
Hell yeah.
heading out. Go watch the next Star Wars movie.
Hell yeah.
It's gonna probably be 20 minutes of me just talking about how shitty it is.
Probably. I do remember number 2 being worse than number 1, and I didn't like 1. So stay tuned for that shit.
All right, peace.